Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be talking about my most asked questions in relation to grad chapter membership. These are the questions that I just sifted through in my comments or in other videos that I feel like I got a lot of times. So if you guys see any questions that I did not answer that you have, put them in the comment box, but these are like the most ones that I've seen from my point of view. So if you don't see them in the comment box, let me know. If you guys have any questions, you always know to let me know. Be sure that you are subscribed to my channel so that you do not miss a single video from me. If you have not checked out my intake prep course, please make sure that you do that, as well as I will be restarting that in January for you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me in regards to that. But without further ado, let's get into this video. So in no particular order, these are the questions that I will be answering that have been asked the most. Interest letters for grad chapter, as well as showing interest to grad chapters. Fees, choosing between two organizations, and discretion, in no particular order. Let's go ahead and talk about discretion, because I feel like that is a question that I get a lot. Discretion with grad chapter. In my opinion, with graduate chapter, I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't believe in discretion with grad chapter. And the reason why is because I feel like for graduate chapter, how do they know that you're interested unless you express interest? It's not like an undergrad where you're in a small community or a large community of African American students who are a part of Greek life, where everyone talks and everyone knows everyone and everyone knows everything about anyone who's interested because they talk. With graduate chapter, I feel like it's a little different. It's a little more liberal, because with graduate chapter, we are not in each other's business like that. If you tell me that you want to join my organization, I'm not gonna go to the AKAs and be like, so-and-so wants to join my organization. We're not that tight. We're not that close. However, with some organizations, they do prefer discretion. For what reason? I don't really know, you guys. For me, personally, I feel like discretion, it goes out the window with graduate chapter, because how will they know that you're interested unless you express your interest? Now, it depends on what stage you're at as well. Some people would just dive right into it and tell an organization that they want to join them without doing any research or without getting to know the chapter first. That's where I think a lot of people make their mistake. You have to take the time to get to know the chapter that you want to join and get to know the members before you express interest. Some people just dive in heads first, and then they get negative feedback about it because they didn't really take the proper steps in expressing interest in the first place. So with that being said, I recommend just making sure that you are following the proper steps of protocol to make sure that you're on the right path to expressing interest. Until then, you can use discretion, but other than that, I don't really recommend using discretion. With expressing interest to an organization, especially in grad chapter, make sure that you follow the proper protocols. I do have a video already on my channel about the do's and don'ts of joining graduate chapter that I will link in the description box for you guys. Make sure that you are following the, the rules of etiquette, I would like to say, about joining an organization, because you want to make sure that you are taking the right steps to expressing interest in joining an organization. With interest letters and joining organizations, there are two forms, really there are three forms of an interest letter. The interest letter is typically used during the beginning stages of the intake process. Some people, their interest letter is a part of their application. Other people, or other organizations, I should say, the interest letter is used for expressing interest into joining the organization in general. It's not a part of the application. And depending on what organization you want to join, the interest letter is required. For example, for my sorority, we do not require an interest letter in order for you to apply to join the organization. However, you can send a letter of interest to us stating that you want to join the organization and learn more. It's not as detailed as what the application's interest letter would look like. It's basically just I would just say that it's like an inquiry email that you would send, also expressing interest. If you guys want to know the difference or how to format or create one of those interest letters, I highly recommend signing up for my intake prep course, as samples, examples, and advice is provided on those courses for you guys. So please, please, please use that as a resource if you haven't done so already. The interest letter is mainly used for the intake process. However, it can be used as a letter expressing interest in a particular organization. It just depends on the organization that you want to join. I feel like I'm making good segues into each topic. So next, let's talk about sharing interests, or let's talk about choosing between two organizations, sharing interest in two different organizations or two different chapters. Like I've said before, make sure that you do your research on the organizations that you want to join. And if you've already done research on the organizations, make sure that you've done research on the chapters. This is for people who are just trying to choose between two chapters that they want to join. I recommend doing research on both. Do you have to tell one organization or one chapter that you are looking at another organization or chapter? No, you don't have to do that. There's no rule stating that you have to do that when you're in the preliminary stages of looking to see what one interests you most. No, you do not have to explain that. However, when you get closer to making a decision about what organization you want to join, then you will be asked to disclose any organization that you've shown interest in, participated in intake with. That question will be asked of you. But if you have not participated in intake with another organization, or if you have not shared interest in joining another organization and started the intake process, then you do not have to disclose that information. But I always tell people to make sure that they do research on both before committing to one or the other. Lastly, let's talk about fees in joining an organization. With an organization, we have what we call dues, or if you're brand spanking new, we have what we call initiation fees. Initiation fees are the first things, or the first monies, which I hate that word, but it's the first amount of money that you pay when you're getting ready to join an organization. That is your local, regional, national/international dues if your organization is international. Those things are separated or combined depending on how your chapter decides to do it. From my experience, it's usually broken up because you want to make sure that the money goes in the proper place. Or your chapter may have you pay everything in a lump sum and they break it up for you. It depends. With the fees themselves, the cost depends on what stage you are at in joining. The graduate level is more expensive than the undergraduate level for whatever reason they came up with. I couldn't tell you. But for graduate level, I always recommend people saving at a minimum anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000. That might not be what your dues cost. It varies from organization to organization. However, I recommend saving that ballpark amount because that money could be used for everything. It could be used for your local, regional, national dues and your neophyte gear that you want to buy. You could dedicate a portion of that to your dues and the other portion be dedicated to you buying stuff for yourself. Or it could be the organization splitting it up for you, like I said, where they split up your regional, local, national dues, and then they also take that money and buy your things for you. Are you potentially buying your own stuff with your money? Yes. However, it depends on the organization. The organization or the chapter might supply you with gifts, or they might do it for you. It depends on what organization you want to join. It really depends on the chapter that you want to join. Every chapter is different. So with initiation fees, it's the first amount of money that you pay when you're joining the organization. And it is usually a high amount of money to be paid because you're brand new. There are different things that you have to pay for that are required of you. And then once you join and once you're initiated, your fees are usually less than that amount. It just depends. It depends on the organization's budget, chapter budget, things like that. So make sure that you have a certain dollar amount saved prior to joining so that you'll know what to expect once you have your formal and they explain how much everything will cost. Can you pay everything in a lump sum? It depends. Like I said, I feel like I say depends a lot, but it really does. You could pay it all in one lump sum. It is not broken up into payments. You are responsible for that amount when that amount is due. There is no payment plan. There is no IOUs. None of that. Make sure that you have your money available prior to expressing interest or prior to even doing the application because it's going to come quickly. As soon as you start your intake process, you're going to owe money to join. And if you don't have that money to join, you're not going to get accepted. So I recommend saving that money at least a year in advance. If you are on the right track with everything, save that money a year in advance so that you'll have it, put it someplace safe where you do not touch it or you do not need to touch it until it is time to be used. So those are basically the questions that I've been receiving in regards to grad chapter intake. If you guys had any questions or if I missed anything, put them in the comment box below. I will either link the video relating to your question, or I'll just explain it to you. I will also link the playlist to grad chapter intake for anyone who's interested, as well as the link to my intake prep course that is available as a basic and deluxe course. With the basic, you get your lessons and some examples. With the deluxe, you get basics, examples that are included, basic lessons that are included, plus something extra, as well as a mock interview with me and or resume / interest letter review from me. So I hope that you guys found this information helpful. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.